Namaskar. A very warm and cozy good morning to all of you because it is a very bright and sunny morning today here. I am Amod Kumar Rai and working in the Department of English and Buddha Postgraduate College, Kushinagar, which is located in the eastern part of Uttar Pradesh, that is UP in our country, India. My dear young friends, today I wish to share with all of you a very important literary topic which is known by all of us as Shakespearean tragedies. Uh, I wish to share with all of you ideas, concepts, and components which together make this literary topic very significant. It is oft asked in our examinations and oft discussed within our academic and literary fraternity. It is called Shakespearean tragedies, otherwise more suitably called romantic tragedies. I assume that most of you have read Hamlet, King Lear, Othello, and Macbeth. If you have not read it, at least you might have some kind of familiarity with all these four sublime tragedies penned by the greatest myriad-minded genius of English literature, William Shakespeare. All these four plays are tragedies with sublime solemnity, somber ambience, and brooding melancholy. And there are some other special characteristics which make all these four plays that form a class apart in Shakespearean dramatic output. I also want to drag your attention towards one very important thing, that even before Shakespeare, romantic tragedies were started by the pre-Shakespearean dramatists whom we also known as university wits. But it was Shakespeare whose sheer imagination, inventiveness, and a wish to compose dramas which are not according to classical precepts. Let us first see why these plays are denominated as Shakespearean tragedy or romantic tragedies. Means why critics have termed these four plays as romantic tragedies or Shakespearean tragedies written by Shakespeare. In his phenomenal book entitled as Shakespearean Tragedies, an eminent, most noted critic on Shakespeare, A.C. Bradley, has enumerated in quite detail all the characteristics which together make these plays as Shakespearean tragedies. Today in the discussion we shall try to foreground some of the significant components and characteristics which Bradley has put forth, as well as which some other teachers of English literature are trying to specify as inevitable characteristics of Shakespearean tragedies. I will also like to draw your attention towards certain other characteristics which contribute in carving a speciality to these four plays of Shakespeare. Let us begin with the definition of Aristotle about tragedy, because it has been the mother text by Aristotle which has decided the future of classical criticism and classical precepts about tragedy. Tragedy, says Aristotle, is an imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude in language, embellished with each kind of dramatic ornament, and several parts of the play constitute the separate parts and particles of English tragedies, embellished with each kind of artistic ornament, the several kinds being formed in the separate parts of the play, which ultimately lead towards the catharsis of audience. Now, if we see, a careful perusal of all these Shakespearean tragedies reveal to the fact that Shakespeare has set aside all these classical precepts in his romantic tragedies. Aristotle, by making several changes to the pattern of tragedy which Aristotle recommends, and also with his sheer and unadulterated imagination, his inventiveness, and his mastery over this dramatic craft, he has changed the form and texture of tragedies. First of all, if we see, contrary to the classical pattern of tragedies, Shakespeare has portrayed the conflict and suffering of not even a single person but double persons, and Bradley has also stamped on this assumption that Shakespearean tragedies are not a tale of an individual but a single person, or at times of double persons, the hero and the heroine. If you remember, in Hamlet, it is the suffering and tragedy of Hamlet along with Ophelia. In Othello, there is suffering of Othello and his wife Desdemona. In Macbeth, it is himself the King Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. And in King Lear, the great King of Great Britain, King Lear and Cordelia. So there are sufferings of more than one character, and according to classical tragedies, it is not supposed to be a play of two or more protagonists. Shakespeare's heroes belong to the upper strata of society, whereas Aristotle says that that person can be made the protagonist of the play, one who does not belong either to the superior class or to the lower class, but a man of common masses, a man of middle class. But Shakespearean tragic heroes, if you see one by one, they all belong to the upper class of the society, to the upper echelon of the society, and to the upper strata of the society. For example, King Lear is the king of Great Britain, Othello is the general of Venetian army, Macbeth is the general of Scotland, and Hamlet is the prince of Denmark. They all suffer not because of some moral depravity or some mischief, but they are stung with a tragic flaw in their personality, which ultimately lead them towards their doom. Shakespeare has deliberately chosen these characters from the highest echelon of the society because it is the firm belief of Shakespeare that people, general audience, general masses are not interested in watching suffering of a common man or a middle class man on the stage. In one of his history plays, Richard III, Shakespeare has written two beautiful lines. I quote, "When beggars die, no comets are seen. Heaven themselves blaze forth at the death of princes." These were the line of Richard III, and this also gives us a gist of Shakespeare's perspective of tragic dramas, why he has chosen characters from the highest echelon of the society. Shakespeare presents conflicts in his tragedies, not just the external but also the internal conflict of the character. Hamlet is a brilliant example of facing this kind of conflict. Not only Hamlet, but Macbeth, Othello, and King Lear also, in the later phase of their life, in the second half of their drama, their internal conflict is more pensive, more scorching, it is more pinpointing, and it is because of these internal conflict that the effect of tragic drama is enhanced, and it creates a very special cathartic appeal to all its audience. We have seen that Shakespeare has tried to create a kind of poetic justice also in his tragedies, where the virtuous are rewarded and the villainous are punished. The values of life are established as the play ends with the death of the central figure protagonist, and when the bad bleeds, there is a great tragedy. It is this speciality of Shakespeare which are missing from the classical concept of tragedy or the classical format of tragedy. The next attractive thing about Shakespearean tragedies is that these heroes fall not because of some heinous crime committed by them, but because of their hamartia. Hamartia, all of us know, is the tragic flaw in the in the protagonist of the play, in the central character of the play. What is this tragic flaw? This is not any moral dilemma. This is not any moral act of the central character. Rather, it is a kind of misjudgment. These heroes fail to decide correctly what is their fate. There is a kind of misjudgment in each of the protagonists of Shakespearean tragedies. If we see, the misjudgment of King Lear is his inability to decide who is true, who is loyal, who is more patriot towards himself and towards his dynasty, towards his kingdom. The sweetest daughter and the balm of his age, Cordelia, has been punished by King Lear because he has failed to realize that it is only Cordelia which has given the true verdict to his trial. Othello is put into the orgy of remorse when Desdemona is smothered to death, and Macbeth suffers with the stings of his own sin in murdering Duncan just because of his overhalting ambition, which falls on the character himself and not on others. In the same way, Hamlet's hamartia is his indecisiveness, his inability to execute the task which he has taken in his own hand, on the appeal of his father, who appears as ghost in the play, as well as his internal instincts also drive him towards taking revenge of the foul murder of his father. To be or not to be is problem. It is his indecisiveness which is the tragic flaw in his character. So we see that all these tragic flaws in all the four major protagonists of all the four major tragedies by Shakespeare make a very special kind of character portrayal of the tragic hero who, because of his hamartia, brings the desirable catharsis towards the end of the play. The next point is that Shakespeare has used supernatural elements in his tragedies. These supernatural elements are according to the contemporary customs, beliefs, in superstitions, in supernatural elements like ghosts, witches. These were the dominant beliefs of British English people in the medieval era, and Shakespeare has fully utilized this machinery in his plays. We see that there is ghost in Hamlet, there is ghost in Macbeth, as well as witches. There is haunting in the character of Othello also, and in the character of King Lear there is madness. These supernatural elements, these supernatural machineries are compounded with some kind of disturbed state of mind, somnambulism, hallucination, and insanity. Hamlet suffers with insanity, King Lear suffers with insanity, Lady Macbeth suffers with insanity and somnambulism both. Even Macbeth is also tormented psychologically towards the fifth act in the Macbeth. These supernatural elements and use of abnormal state of mind heightens the tragic effect because it creates an extra dose of pity and fear among the audience when they see that a character who has high potential, who has high capability, powerful, just perish to their doom because of their miscalculation, misjudgment in their life. Additionally, one more thing I would like to add before I come to conclusion and end. Brilliant use of comic scenes, comic relief, buffoonery in tragedies. Before Shakespeare, there was Christopher Marlowe, who has extensively used comic scenes in his tragedies. But Shakespeare has used comic elements with a different purpose. He has two purposes. One is to criticize the social customs which are not fit according to Shakespearean view in his dramas, as well as to expose the hypocrisy of aristocratic class as well as the lowest merchants. It is evident in the porter scene of Macbeth, it is evident in King Lear, it is evident in Ophelia, and the Fool of King Lear also exposes the dominant hypocrisy of society in the plays. These comic scenes are also used to heighten the tragic effect between two most tragic scenes, two most painful scenes, and before the final catastrophe takes place. If you can remember, there is a porter scene in Macbeth, then there is a comic scene in Hamlet also, which occurs just before the final catastrophe. In King Lear, the Fool of King Lear laughs wittingly more on King Lear than on any other character, because it was his inability to do justice towards his family, towards his kingdom, towards his common people. Shakespearean tragedies are full of philosophies of life. The famous soliloquy of Hamlet, to be or not to be, is one such philosophy. The famous statement made by Macbeth towards the end of the play, when he says, and these are oft quoted lines, "Out, out, brief candle, life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets its hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury and signifying nothing." It is these philosophical conjectures also which create a very distinct and special ambience to Shakespearean tragedies, and that is why it is called Shakespearean tragedies. It is called romantic tragedies because, contrary to classical precepts of tragedies, it narrates action which is not, where there is no unity of action, no unity of place, and no unity of time. Shakespeare has remarkably flouted all these classical precepts, not because as weakness in his dramatic skills, but as a strength of his dramaturgy, a strength of his dramatic capability, drama writing. And with these several characteristics lend a very special atmosphere, a very special category, a class to all the four tragedies written by Shakespeare. I hope I have tried my best to explain several characteristics of Shakespearean tragedies which make it romantic or Shakespearean. If you have any suggestion, any doubt, you are most welcome, my dear friends. For today, it is suffice from my side. Thank you very much for patiently bearing with me. Thank you.